My baby dolls, we're back again. Another great episode of Genesis is coming up. We got a great guest today. She's out in the Midwest. She's pretty much all over Facebook. She's on my pages. She's on a lot of my Facebook groups. Probably our co-captain, our co-pilot, the man with the plan, Marc Weiss, will be chiming in a little bit later. But right now, I know he's busy, hard at work, and I'm hard at play. But you are listening to Genesis on the Comfortably Zoned Network, radio network. And, of course, Zigzag Man, Ralph Tycho, is the producer. And today we have Betty Cantley. And Betty is the host on the T2 MSR2 at Talk to Me Sports show. She is a radio person, guru, writer, editor, and has her own podcast show. We're going to talk with Betty about very important topics today besides sports, her battle with cancer. We're going to talk some celebrations in Cleveland regarding the Cavaliers and Indians and how they brought joy to that city who has thirsted for any kind of championship since 1964, I believe, until the Cavaliers won surprisingly, over Golden State last year. And we're going to talk about the Indians who went to the World Series, and we're going to give a 2017 preview about the Indians, who look poised again to go back as the American League champions. And without any further ado, welcome to the show, Betty.
Thank you for inviting me, Mr. Ian. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you. I listen to your shows, and I see your posts all over the place, and you are definitely a force on the radio and prevalent in Facebook. But before we even start anything, I'd like to run down, about your health, because I think it's important. It's important to a lot of listeners to what happened, because they're battling something, and everyone's battling something. Like I told you, I battled foot infection and almost lost my life on November 12th, almost lost my foot as well. So, without, going into much, let's have just a brief overview of what you've been going through the last year.
Oh, well, I've been going through a lot. I mean, the biggest one was cancer. I was going through thyroid cancer, where I had cancer on my left side. Was wrapped around my voice box very tightly, and on my right side, it was starting. So we had a family decision. We took out the thyroid. I have no thyroid. I have a lymph node that's a little bit big, but they're not real concerned. I take medication. It's been something else, because a lot of days, I still don't have my taste buds back from having the radiation in October. I had the surgery in September, and we found out about a year ago. And
let me ask you this. When you found out, and you do have a little girl. How old is she? About 15? 14?
Oh, no, she's my granddaughter. She's 7.
Oh, she's 7. You're not even that much older than me, Betty. You were born January 17, 1965, I think.
Yes, I have 3 sons, 30, 28, and 23.
Oh, my God. I was born 5 years after you. I got twin boys, age 9. I started late.
Hey, that's okay, right?
Yeah, 32 years of education and doing so much things, and then one day you wake up and you have twin boys. It just happens. Let me ask you something, because I don't want to knock out your voice box. I know that it's tender. When you found out, was it an early detection?
Early detection was the voice. You see, you hear my voice. This is not my normal voice. It started off as a cold, as we thought, as everybody thought. The doctors, it all started off as a cold, and then in February we went And I went back to the doctors because this cold surely wasn't going away. But I was bronchitis. Let's go do some x-rays. Went to do x-rays, and there was water on my lungs. We went from water on fluid on my lungs to doing a CAT scan. No, ultrasound, I had to think. So many tests. Ultrasound, and then they found the calcification of cancer on my left side, which explains why I couldn't breathe very well, which explains my voice, and I may never get my true voice back. I talked, I can't talk very long because I start to lose it, my voice,
Right.
and my mind.
Right.
So,
well, I've already lost
this is one
mine.
of most, this is one of the most terrible cancers. So, as long as you catch it in the early stages, which is what they did, they call it in a very, very early stage. I take a pill. I can't say pill names. It begins with an L. Lev is, whatever. It's in place of the cancer, and I'll have to take that for the rest of my life. I have to go see, I can't say his doctor's name, Dr. Trillis. She's an endocrinologist. I'll be seeing her for the rest of my life. So keep a monitor of my throat and, my throat. Because I did still have cancer lingering on afterwards. But the iodine eventually, thank God, killed it. I am very grateful, and I'm the type of person who doesn't go to the doctors, really. But, with all the other medical problems I've been having for the last 2 years, this was the most crucial. This is the one we had to work with, get rid of. And was I scared? Absolutely. I can't tell you how scared I was with this because I was afraid. I mean, they said it's curable. Well, my history with my health issues, it doesn't go too well. It doesn't go the way the doctor wants. It takes forever. So when I found out 2 weeks ago, for sure, I had to do another ultrasound, and then the day after I had the cancer doctor, and the gynecologist, and he said everything looked good, except like I said, the lymph node on my left side right side is a little puff. But they're not concerned. Just keep seeing the endocrinologist, and if anything else, happens or accumulates, it goes back to him.
And let me ask you this, Betty. You have 3 sons. They're a little older, like we mentioned. James, Jason, and Joseph. Hey, everyone's from the J family here. Now, you're not married, correct? I didn't see any.
No, I am married. I am.
Oh, you are married. How long are you married?
It'll be 32 years November.
Oh, mazel tov. And how is the support system from your family and your husband regarding, getting ready to go through this scary time?
It was good. Jason's the only one. He's 23. He's the only one that lives with us. So he was always making sure because I can't be left by myself because of other issues. I have lesions on the brain and stuff. Mm-hmm. But it was very good. It took a while. It was scary. It was very scary for us all in the beginning. And I tried to not think about it, but I couldn't help it, I was like, I was ready for the surgery. I wasn't scared to have the surgery. I said, get it out of me.
Yeah, that's, it's something that has to be done. And I always say to people, no matter what you're going through, they said to me, well, Ian, we're going to cut your foot off. And I said, well, that's fine. The rest of my family's like, how the heck are you fine with that? I'm like, well, if it stops the pain, if this black infection they get to, goes away, fine. But, if it doesn't, then God bless me. And, that's what happened. But like you, I fight diabetes every day. It's ups, downs, it's all around. It's nothing, no day is the same. But let me
No.
ask you this: how long have you had your show?
My show, okay, I have two shows. I've had
Yeah.
Hard Knocks, will be 2 years this July, and the NBA, Cantley's World of Basketball,
Mm-hmm.
I've had for be 2 years in September, and I
And let me
enjoy
ask you,
those shows.
yeah, and you do a great job. Like I said to my listeners, go to see both of them or hear both of their shows. They're very informative, and Betty's very good at describing the situations, and she does have special guests sometimes, and she has you have a co-host with you, I believe, one of them.
Louis and Hard Knocks, Tia Swafford with the with the basketball. She's a pro basketball player, and I have Ron Ager on also.
Right.
So those three of us.
Now, you hail from the Cleveland area, correct?
Oh yeah, home of the champions.
That's right. Now, let me just say something. As you were going through this cancer, dilemma, the Cleveland Cavaliers were in the fight of their lives in the NBA championship, weren't they?
Yes, they were. That topped it all. It made me very. I guess the whole city of Cleveland happy. But I jumped off the couch and I screamed. I'm sure the whole neighborhood heard. I'm sure of that.
Let me just run this down for you. They were down 3-1 to a Golden State Warrior team that had the best record ever, and to come back with that, especially LeBron James, I could just imagine the sentiment in Cleveland. But let me ask you this: do you think that might have been just the best overall performance by an NBA player in the history of the NBA?
Again, let me say this: it wasn't just LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
It was also Irving and Love.
Yeah.
The whole team. But yeah, it was the best. I mean, I had a feeling they would win. I said it. I said it on my show at the beginning of the season. They would win in Game 7. And yes, I was getting nervous when it was 3-1. I'm like, no. We haven't had a champion since a month before I was born in 1964 with the Browns.
That's right. That's right. Now, let me ask you this. I was very, very impressed because my ex-Knick player, J.R. Smith, played extremely well and the whole team rallied from 3-1, one of the best NBA finals I've ever seen, brought back memories of like the Lakers and the Celtics back then. You had two powerhouses. I think the last time I saw something like this was maybe the Seattle Supersonics versus the Bulls in '96, where you had two powerhouse teams going at it. What do you think about Cleveland this year? You think they're going to be going back or what?
Oh yeah. I mean, Cleveland has had some struggles. Mo, he retired, but he wasn't much into it last year. Not like he was in the past. I mean, good player, but not like he was. Now, it seems like when they did some trading, we got Ron Williams, and he's something else. He's a big asset, as long as he doesn't get hurt. Knock on wood. And Kyle Carver, another big asset. Duran is the backup Kyrie. In case. But I think we're going to go to the finals? Yes. I think our big competition will be in the Eastern Conference Finals. Will either be Toronto or Boston.
Yeah, Boston
won't be the team
much better. Yeah, Boston's gotten much better. I live up in Massachusetts. I hail from New York City, so all my teams I remain: Yankees, Knicks, Islanders. But the Knicks, I thought, were going to be a contender. That unfortunately, it's just a mess there that Phil Jackson has to figure out. What do you think about Kevin Love? What do you think he's going to be?
What do I think? He's healing. He had a surgery. He's healing. Oh, I believe he'll be back on the court in time for playoffs.
Yeah, they
Just
can
hope
see
you
that.
don't fall and get hurt.
Well, I think if you ask me the truth, I think basketball's gotten much more dangerous. Uh, the last 10, 15 years with all these injuries and flagrant fouls and players getting bigger. I mean, LeBron's a big guy. I mean, he probably just towers over Michael Jordan when you look at body mass size. But for LeBron, I think that was his sixth straight NBA finals. He's been in 6 of them, I think.
Yes. And won 3. One from the hometown.
And he just might go down as the greatest NBA player, eclipsing Michael Jordan. That's what I think.
I don't know if I'd want to compare him to Michael Jordan because it's 2 different eras, 2 different players, same number, 23, and I just think, I know that LeBron was out Saturday because he was sick. Everybody's, making their own little accusations. But, if you have strep throat, for instance, you shouldn't be around anybody else if you know you have strep throat. Because that's contagious. Contagious as heck.
Of course. And
but I think LeBron's the best now. Yes. He's the best in this era. Yes, there's no question about it.
Yeah, and and it's amazing how the the whole state of Ohio just frowned upon him when he went to Miami back in 2010. And then when he comes back, he says, I'm coming back to win a championship. I mean, I think he hails from Youngstown, Ohio, if I'm not mistaken.
He's from Akron.
Akron? No, he's from Akron. All right.
Because, not too far
because I remember him playing high school, and he didn't even go to college. He just came right to the NBA. And it was all this excitement, I think, in 2003, if I'm not mistaken. Or 4,
yes, 2003.
Yeah, he came up.
My son tried to correct me.
Right. Yeah, but now you have the Indians. And let's talk about, how the Indians rebuilt, especially under Terry Francona in the last few years, and how they became the powerhouse that they were before they even got to the World Series, and even before the pickup of Edwin and Garcion from Toronto.
Wow.
No, I don't know.
Wow.
It was. Let's just.
Right.
Go ahead, Betty.
It was amazing. I mean, we not only had the Cavaliers winning their championship, we had the Indians going to the World Series. The people in Cleveland didn't care. Well, of course we wanted the Indians to win. But to have 2 teams go to the finals the same year and hoping the Browns would do the same thing, we'll leave that one alone. And, maybe this year, but we can no longer, the curse of Cleveland has been lifted, as they say, and the Cubs. Congratulations to the Cubs. They deserve it. Both teams deserved it. The only one can get it. And it was, 104 years since they had their last win?
108, yeah.
So congrats. I hope this year we can, I like the coach. He seems to know the manager, whatever. He seems to know, he knows what he's doing. He's got it. I've heard he's tough on the players. I mean, not mean tough, just tough to get him in shape, to get him going, he wants a winning team. And can we do it this year? We could.
And like I mentioned to you, I mean, the Indians have been an evolution because, again, you had Kansas City rebuilding, went to 2 straight World Series. You had Minnesota, who came up the year before they tanked last year. Again, Detroit was the powerhouse for a long time until they decided to have a fire yard sale. And, they basically dominated the Central. Now Cleveland comes, and they got a lot of new pickups, which I want to talk about. The number one of all of them, which I think is going to be a huge asset, is Edwin Encarnacion. You couldn't get a better player in free agency than him. I'm glad the Cleveland Indians picked him up, not the Boston Red Sox, because of the Yankees. But let's talk about the buzz in Cleveland when they got Encarnacion.
Well, it was
how was
excitement. It was excitement that people were, they're looking for a World Series again and a win with him and some of the other new ones.
They picked up Boone Logan, who I always thought was a fantastic pitcher for the Yankees. He's going to help in the bullpen, along with Miller. They got Austin Jackson from Detroit. They also got Chris Colabello from Toronto. They got Willie Mo Pena. He played in Japan last year. And they got Carlos Frias from the Dodgers for catch. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Indians have plugged a few holes that they had, which maybe be able to beat a heavily favored Cubs, because I think it's going to be a rematch of the 2016 World Series, because both of them are just such powerhouses. If they stay healthy, especially with the Cleveland Indians starting rotation that wasn't healthy last year, I think Cleveland might just be able to go to 7 again, and this time, beat them.
And it could be done.
Yeah, it could be.
They did darn good last year. They kicked butt. They did darn good. The Indians, they were on it. They wanted it. They wanted it so bad. And they played their hardest. And, well, it went to 7 games. I don't watch a lot of baseball, but I was watching the World Series of the Indians, of course.
I turned it on. I turned it on in the 8th inning, and I saw Cleveland come back, and I saw then into extra innings, and I saw Chapman, who was back on the Yankees. But this is the big thing. Again, and I'm gonna read from Fox Sports to you, and then we can talk about Cleveland's starting rotation lived up to the hype last season, as the Indians rode their stellar young arms to their first American League Central title in 9 years. Right-hander Corey Kluber nearly regained his 2014 Cy Young form, going 18-9 with a 3.14 ERA and finishing third in Cy Young voting. Denny Salazar's stellar first half resulted in an all-star nod. You had Carlos Carrasco enjoyed a career year with Josh Tomlin and Trevor Bauer. Both had solid seasons. But then in September, the injuries came. Hard, fast, and the worst time possible. No Salazar. He had a forearm injury. Or Carrasco. He had a right-hand fracture for the postseason. The rest of the pitching staff stepped in, led the Tribe all the way to the World Series. He basically steamrolled the Boston Red Sox with the farewell tour of Big Papi. And he made it to the World Series. But after Bauer's infamous drone-related finger injury during the American League Championship Series, the injuries became too much for Cleveland's depleted staff to overcome. I don't necessarily agree with that. But with the entire 2016 starting staff returning this season, Fox Sports is saying the Indians are the clear favorite to win their second straight Central Division. And probably, they say certainly, I say probably, are going to make a run for it if those pitches stay healthy.
Yes, I would back you up on that. If the pitchers can stay healthy, we've got it, and maybe we even get a win. Certainly get a win. Going to get a win.
Now, Michael Brantley, he's probably the most wild card of all of them because again, in 2015 he suffered a shoulder injury. He was once Cleveland's best all-around player, and again he spent last spring rehabbing from surgery. He was on a continuous cycle of rest, cortisone shots, rehab attempts. He tried to make his way, but he never made it and was finally shut down early in August. I think with the addition of Brantley over here, I think it even makes Cleveland more of a lock, along with the new additions, to be probably one of the better teams I've seen in the American League East in about 10 to 15 years. This kind of reminds me of the mid-'90s with Cleveland. How's the feeling out in Cleveland now as compared to the mid-'90s?
Oh, it's even better. It's great, except with the Browns. But it's great. It's like excitement. It's like you want to come to Cleveland. I mean, before you didn't really want to come. Well, before. But now with baseball season starting, well, I realize they're in camp. But I've heard tickets are sold out to almost every game of the Tribe.
And that's good because Cleveland has been a down city for many years. It was decimated in the recession, like most Midwestern cities. How has the popularity of both the Cavaliers and the Indians done for the economy in Cleveland?
It's done wonders. I mean, it was good when LeBron was here the first time, but now with the World Series and it's just the economy, more people, more spending. I mean, everywhere you go, you see Cavs or Indian stuff, and I like it in sports stores, obviously. And you always see somebody walking out with a bag. So I believe it's done. I think it's really upped it. It's really upped it.
Because Cleveland now, with the infusion of that, even before the ascent of both the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Cleveland Indians, and we'll talk about the Browns a little bit also. Yeah. Cleveland is a hot spot for chic restaurants. The downtown area, they got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. One of the biggest restaurants in the Midwest is Lola's by celebrity chef Michael Sinham. Have you ever been there?
No, I'm sorry, I haven't been. I've heard about it, though. Don't get me wrong, I've heard about it.
I mean, Lola's is huge, and it's been the base, and it's been his headquarters really, so he can span throughout the area over there, and this just helps in the economy in Cleveland, which we don't hear about in many parts of the country. But how is building? Is there a lot of construction going on in Cleveland now?
Yeah, they are going to expand the queue, and there's a whole building they're going to be putting in on my shirt with the building's called. But it will bring jobs. It will bring jobs down. Now I haven't been downtown yet. There's like a park down there, a water. I mean, it's. How do you want to say this nicely? It's built up looking nice. Not the way it used to look. I'm sorry. The Higbee's building, I mean, they have the, I don't know, the gambling. My husband and I have been there a few times, okay? But they changed names. It's somewhere where you want to go to. It's someplace you want to go to. Now, it's not a half-dead city where nobody wants to be and no winning teams and stores that are just not making it. The mom and pop stores. And it looks good and it's going to be good. And root for the Cavaliers. Oh, I believe they'll be playing Golden State this year too.
Let me ask you this. Your voice still holding up a lot?
Yeah, it's holding up.
Let me ask you this. There's always been a rivalry. And when you look at the Buckeye State, you see all the big towns, like you mentioned Akron, Canton, Columbus, Youngstown, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Dayton. You have all these things in a state that's pretty much like it looks like a top. You can spin it. I mean, when you look at it, why is Cleveland and Cincinnati so much of a rival city when you have all these other major cities?
Cleveland and Cincinnati in football?
Yeah, well, Cleveland, Cincinnati in football and just, fighting for just sort of fighting for the rights to be the major city.
Battle of Ohio. A battle of Ohio. But Cleveland's rivalry is Pittsburgh Steelers. But yeah, if you're talking about the two Ohio teams, it's who's the best in Ohio. And obviously, it's Cincinnati. Well, as of right now, I mean, the draft is coming up for the Brown, for football. So who knows what's going to happen next year?
Let me ask you, Manziel, the whole thing with Manziel. When the Browns acquired Manziel, was there a lot of talk that this might help improve the Browns to get into the playoffs?
Yes, even I got excited. It was like, wow. I mean, he had it. My husband and I, we went down to the practices before the season started, and we watched him play, and he had it. He just said that he swore he liked to party. He was young and dumb, and I can't say the other word on air. Young and dumb. And
yeah, I know.
He could have done it.
What do you think the Browns need? Because you know what, their record this year is not indicative on how the team played. There was a lot of close games with the Browns. It's just there was what were they, 1-15 or 2-14? I forget already.
No, 1-15. We only won one game.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Miami Dolphins a few years back. But what do you think? Now they look pretty good. They're way ahead of schedule, the Dolphins. I'm also a Dolphin fan. But let me ask you this: what do you think the Browns need? Because they've been hard luck for a long time now. Do you think they need new ownership? Do you think new coaching staff? Better player development when they draft the picks, holding on to players. What do you think would help the Browns?
If we moved to another city. No,
Really?
no, just messing. Well, what they need is a quarterback, but what they need is the problem with the Browns. And I've seen the Cavaliers do it too, and the Indians. They only keep the coach for a year. Now, how can a team? How would a team mesh? How can they be good if you're, you get a different coach, different coaching styles? Do I think they need new management? Yeah, maybe. Maybe just redo the whole team.
Because they did move. They did move 20 years ago. They moved to Baltimore.
Yeah, I know. And they've won a Super Bowl.
And I think they won 2 Super Bowls. But Modell, Modell was there for about 50 years, and he said, "Hey, I'm taking my stuff, packing up," and basically ripped the heart out of Cleveland. However, Cleveland was smart enough to have the ownership rights to name all the trophies, all the championships, and they reformed, I think, in 1999 as the New Browns, as I recall.
Yeah.
Because I'm going senile in my old age. But it's one of those things where Cleveland or Detroit or any team that gets so good, but, has come up short in football. And those two cities are probably the biggest on my mind because Detroit did have a good team. Cleveland in the late 80s with the team they had with Bernie Kosar and Marty Schottenheimer coaching. And I think they lost in the championship series to Denver, if I'm not mistaken, twice. They had Ernest Biner. They had great receivers. They had a good defense. I think Clay Matthews, his father, was on the team as well back then. They really have not been a force in football since that time. And it's very important to acknowledge the Browns because, of its history. I mean, it was huge under Jim Brown, running a block. It was huge in the 1950s and 60s, Cleveland Brown football. Oh, yeah. I mean, when we were both born, the Browns are still a factor to a degree. But they've fallen off. And, now with the infusion and making a better team in both the NBA and Major League Baseball, all eyes are on the Browns to see if they can, like you mentioned, stay in Cleveland and, reap some of the benefit that Cleveland is reaping from both the Cavaliers and the Indians.
Right.
It's just one of those things. Now, let me ask you, what's coming up on your show? When did your show resume, or was it off at any time when you were battling cancer?
I have taken a 3-month break, but my co-hosts have taken over. They were different co-hosts at that time for each show, but they have taken over for me, and Kevin Larkins, I don't know if you've heard of him, he's up from your area.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, he helped. So they had taken, I was off from August because I had have a brain biopsy also in August, and then I had the thyroid in September. So I just had no energy. No, I missed it, but I took a break from it, and I came back the first week of the first Saturday in November.
That's fantastic. I think Marc Weiss, my co-host, has joined. Is that true, Marc?
That is totally true, but I was just eavesdropping because it's not polite to jump into a serious conversation and interject.
Hi.
Well, this is Betty Cantley, and if you've done your homework on Betty, and I'm just going to rehash like I rehashed to the folks at home. Betty has her own podcast, Talk to Me Sports. Mainly, she's into basketball. Mainly, she has 2 shows. And she was battling cancer last year. She's on pretty much all of my sporting Facebook pages. I know Betty. We've tried to be on each other's shows. And now she's here. We're talking about Cleveland sports. So is there anything you want to ask about Cleveland sports, Marc?
Actually, I want to know, do you think that the Indians are going to seal the deal this year and go one step further and win that elusive World Series that they haven't won since 1948?
Yes. Yes, I do. That's what I'm hoping.
Healthy pitching staff, right? That makes the difference in the postseason?
Yeah, the pitching, and people paying attention. No, yeah, the pitching staff. I always have my say-so in with everything. Yes, the pitching would, if everybody can stay healthy, we can go all the way.
Do you think the fans are really, ginned up and excited about it? Because I went to a game, I did a Midwest tour 2 years ago, drove kind of like across the Midwest going to different games. It actually worked out perfect, like where everyone was home sequentially so that I could just hit it and head back to New York. And I saw a game in Cleveland, and there was probably only about like 8,000 or 9,000 folks there on a weeknight. It was actually a really good game, and they were giving out Santana bobbleheads. and it looked like they closed off a lot of the upper section. Has the attendance really started to amp up since the team has really started to get better over the last year and a half?
Yes, I heard all tickets. It's sold out every game.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that really is awesome. Yeah, we were at a game a few years ago too, and it was like there was like hardly anybody there. That's because they were on a losing streak. They just weren't playing to their potential. And now they got a taste of the World Series, and they want more. They want it all, and so do I.
I tell you, I played softball that night under the lights, and it was a kind of decent night. And after the game, I went and had to pick up. My wife said, "Pick up bagels," because that's the thing I have to do for the kids for school. I go to the store, and we're sitting there watching the game on TV, and I thought for sure when Cleveland took the lead in that game, I thought they were going to win it. I thought the curse for the Cubs the Billy Goat curse was definitely coming to light, and I expected they were going to win it. And then when they didn't, I was like, wow, I had that one wrong. I just couldn't believe it. I thought for sure they had the momentum.
I did too, but it didn't happen like that. But Cleveland's very proud of both teams, but they're proud of the Tribe. Making it to the World Series. I mean, the excitement is still there. Even now, even today, even during the winter, you see people buying stuff in the stores. The Cleveland Indians, the Cavaliers. Yes, so yeah. And I think
Cavs are odds on favorites to go back to the finals this year. I think that's a no-brainer, right?
As long as everybody stays healthy, yes. It'll be them and Golden State. Cavaliers will win in Game 7 again. They remarkably came back and made history last year.
I actually don't think it would get to a Game 7. I don't think that Golden State's as strong as they were last year. I think by adding Durant into the mix, they've messed up their equilibrium.
Yeah, that's true because they were on a winning streak this time last year. They hadn't lost a game yet. Or, one or two games.
I don't think they lost a home game the whole season, right?
Right. They've lost. I'm not sure if they lost to us. Right now I can't think off the top of my head. But, yeah. They won a championship.
Let me ask you something. How well steeped are you in getting celebrities, sports players on your show, to talk about what's going on within the Cleveland sporting teams?
You can't get into the sporting teams. People like
really?
Fox, I mean, people like Fox or ESPN, the big ones, they're not a problem. But little people like me,
they lock you out.
They pretty much do. I mean, I'm not the only one. I mean, lots of them. I'm gonna plan again for the Indians, but I don't see it. Well, I don't mean to be negative, but in the Cavaliers, it's harder. It's harder.
What about at least former players? Do you at least get access to them? Because we find that we meet a lot of former players. They've got books that they're releasing or they have special projects they're working on, and they seem to be great guys, and they just want to talk about anything and everything. And sometimes I guess the current guy is locked out just because the team guards them or, the networks do.
The office I can get the former players. As I was mentioning to your partner in crime, that you all know who Kevin Larkin is.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, I have him on my show quite a bit. He's going to be on this Friday. He's going to be on this Saturday at 8:00. The topic, not sure, he said. But yes, he's one of my regulars. And I also have people from one of my co-hosts on the basketball show. She plays pro basketball, T.S. Watford. I have Ron Agers also on there. Now for interviewing, I've interviewed, one of the ladies from Harlem Globetrotters. Please forgive me for not remembering. And I think the biopsy, I haven't been able to think like I used to. I've had Kenny Anderson, and I'll be getting more. I get a lot of people. Whether their hometown. I have like a list. I interview people from our minor league baseball here in Cleveland. Well, it's actually in Avon Lake. The Lake Erie Crushers. And I had a media pass there. Then cancer happened. But I can get. Right now I'm working. I'm trying to work getting someone from the Cleveland Browns. I think they have a right to speak.
I'll tell you, the Browns should be happy somebody even wants to talk to them.
I hear the tickets are real cheap.
They should be calling you and begging to be on your show.
Right?
I think they could have lost to Alabama last year.
Yeah. Well, and I'm getting.
To ask you.
What?
Have you ever interviewed one of my favorite authors of all time who writes a lot of books about Cleveland, Terry Pluto?
No, I've never. I know who he is. I've been playing Miller too, but I don't know.
He wrote my second favorite sports book of all time, which is The Curse of Rocky Colavito. And it basically chronicles Cleveland Indians baseball because they traded Rocky Colavito, I think at the end of the 58 or 59 season, and it chronicles how it went into this like 35-year doldrum, and then all the near misses in the playoffs in the World Series, and it's this curse because they traded him, and it's like someone labeled it on them or something like that. But it's a great read. It's a great book, and he's written a ton of books about the Cleveland sports scene. And that's my second favorite book next to Ball 4, which is my baseball Bible. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, if you can, are you friends with him?
I've actually sent emails back and forth. I've tried to get him for this show, but Ian's much tighter with the authors than I am. He's better than I am.
With me, I could probably email him because every time I email or Facebook an author, they're usually very amicable. They come on and, we set up the interview. We set up the interview just like we do with you today. We do our homework and stuff. So if I could get, Pluto on the show, absolutely. I'll get him on the show. I'll even try to get, Boughton on the show to talk about Ball 4 because, it was re-released last year, I think, or maybe the year before the 45th anniversary of it, with new added stuff that Boughton put in.
Pluto actually wrote a book. Pluto actually wrote a book about Boughton's comeback in '79.
Yeah. Who did he come back with? Houston?
No. He came back with the Atlanta Braves.
Oh yeah. Because he played for the Colt 45s, I think, or the Seattle Pilots.
Yep. The 1 year hit wonders. He said the team was so bad they got rid of us. They closed the team down.
They moved to Mill.
So who is your favorite Indian of all time?
Mine?
Yeah.
I really don't have one.
Wow.
Oh, you got so much to choose from, Bob Fella.
I'm still young.
Bob Fella, yeah.
If you ask me my favorite Dodger of all time, I'll give you that answer in 2 seconds.
Well, if you ask me something about the Cavaliers, my favorite, I can tell you in less than 2 seconds.
Oh, it's got to be LeBron, right?
No.
No.
Kyrie.
Okay.
Kyrie.
That's not bad.
See?
There's a lot of upside there, that's for sure. He hasn't even hit the prime yet.
No, he hasn't. And then my first three favorite teams in NBA: Cavaliers, Chicago, Spurs.
I remember when Cleveland and Chicago had those great battles back in the Craig Elo, Michael Jordan days.
Mm-hmm.
Marc Weiss was with Cleveland, and they always had really, really good teams. But just like the Knicks, they could never get by Chicago. That Jordan guy should have made him illegal.
Yeah, the Jordan guy. Now we do have a Cleveland author that I do. I have interviewed, and I have his books, and my pictures are in his books because I'm a picture baby. I like to take pictures, and I do it every game. Well, my son and I, on his 18th birthday, went to the finals in 2007 against the Spurs. All right, that, and then we got to meet Delonte West. That picture's his name is Vince McKee. And he wrote The History of the Wine and Gold. Really, really super good book. But I have a lot of sports books here, and trying to read, Greece, and then I get the authors on. Because, I can't read them all at one time.
I have that problem too. I think Ian is so much better read than I am. Sometimes when I read it, my throat gets dry because I say the words out loud.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Well, folks, I'm going to have to end the show. Betty, I appreciate you coming on today. It's been a long journey with cancer with you, and I follow you on my Facebook page, so sometimes you'll see I like your stuff, and sometimes your voice did hold out for. Your voice did hold out for an hour. Like I said, we'd probably be doing most of the talking. We'd like you to come back in a few more months. Tell us how the progress is going in cancer treatments and moving forward with your other unfortunate ailments. And also we'll talk about some Indians baseball. We'll talk about the NBA playoffs because by that time Cleveland should be the Cavaliers should be well in. And we'll see where the Indians are. And you have any last questions, Marc?
No, I don't have a question. I just want to say we wish you the best of health. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers are going to be with you. And let's make a pact that we'll get back with you sometime. Like we'll do like a barometer check on both your health and the Indians' health during the season, and we'll get some of your insight.
That'll work. And I would like to have you both on my show on Saturday night. So we'll set a date when baseball starts. Hey, I'm all filled up tomorrow.
Absolutely. Ian's all about the Yankees, and I'm all about the Dodgers.
It could be worse.
So that tells you why I'm the second banana here. I get the team that always loses to the Yankees.
My goodness.
Yeah. Betty, hold the line. We're gonna. This is how I end the show, folks. We had a great time with Betty. She's just a peach. If you want to know anything about sports, you tune to her show, Talk to Me Sports, and her basketball show. You can usually find it. Where can you find it? Actually, I find it on Facebook all the time. You post to my pages, but if not, where else can they find it, Betty?
They can find. I have several pages. I have. Let me see. Well, the football season's over with right now. I have it like on the NBA pages. I have Cantley's NBA page.
Mm-hmm.
I have quite a few pages. All I do is Google my name, you'll see it.
All right,
I like
fantastic.
to keep up with scores. NBA score updates and scores, so that's another one of mine. I mean, I like to keep up, and then when the baseball season starts, I will put up a page for baseball.
Fantastic, and in the immortal words of Edward R. Murrow, folks, good night, good luck, we'll see you next time, take care now.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.